Alam niyo po last year, kasi that this is, I think the Office of the Vice President last year received the highest ever budget for the Office of the Vice President. So, and this year we're increasing. Are we increasing, Mr. Chairman, in our committee report? The bottom line budget of the OVP.
For 2024, it's increased by 30. No, actually, it's in the Senate version, it's decreased, Your Honor.
Correct. It should decrease because the
Yeah.
Senate committee report
We adopted the HGAP
yes,
version,
no,
Your Honor. So
did not grant, our
Yeah.
committee report did not grant the 500 million peso confidential fund. Is that correct, Mr.
That's
President?
correct,
The
Your Honor.
effect is that there is a reduction if we compare GAA 2023 to committee report 2024 on OVP. The reduction is
500. But it's the figure of 2.343 billion minus 1.874 billion, Your Honor. So if the staff would calculate, please. Only Senator Bongo can do these calculations without a calculator.
anyway, yes, we get the idea, Mr. President. Hindi pala reflected to sa ating summary because we were comparing it with the House version. Apo.
It is less by 469 million, Your Honor.
Okay, sige. So that means we remove 500 and some other items increase siguro most likely, Mr. Chairman, if you can tell us which ones. Kasi by 30 million may nag-increase. It may be the automatic appropriations. Sweldo. Sweldo.
Yeah.
30 something.
Yes, number of versions here. What
Yes,
is the
okay.
question? Your question is what is
Okay,
because your question is on the GAA of 2023, Your Honor. That's why narito kami.
Narito,
Because it's 500 less than the NEP, but it's not 500 less than the 2023.
thank you for that
Opo.
clarification.
So
that
nahilo
means
kami.
the
Momentarily.
questionnaire was also confused kung ganon. Pero that's the statement from the sponsor. NEP compared to our committee report, the budget, NEP 2024
Kung NEP,
NEP,
500, opo.
it's a clean 500 million.
Yes,
so
yes.
we know
Yes,
where we got that from.
Yes.
Okay, so
Because your question was about
yes,
the 2023
okay, klaro
GAA.
na.
Kaya
Yes,
na-confused kami momentarily.
So I am amending my question and I'm now getting the correct answer. Hindi po ba the budget, itong pag-appear ng agencies is the time for them to make some appeals? If the Congress is entertaining cuts in their budget, this is the time for them to make an appeal. If they want a restoration, augmentation, or anything, changes in their budget. So, if we can ask the Office of the Vice President, the Vice President herself is here, Mr. President. Is she making an appeal for the restoration of the 500 million confidential fund to her budget, Mr. President?
Your Honor, actually, we're in receipt of a statement from the Vice President we discussed earlier. And according to her, the OVP can only propose a budget to support the safe implementation of its PAPs or programs, activities and programs to alleviate poverty and promote the general welfare of each and every Filipino family. Nonetheless, they will no longer pursue the CIF or CF. And the reason why is because it is seen to be divisive, and as the Vice President, she swore an oath to keep the country peaceful and strong.
So just as I commended the Office of the Ombudsman, the Department of Migrant Workers, and the other agencies which willingly gave up their CIF or the CF or did not even ask for these funds, given this latest manifestation by the Vice President, I commend her, Mr. President, for now categorically stating to this House that it's not a deferral to our wisdom. She does not want it anymore, Mr. President. So if that is how I understand the statement, I commend the Vice President. Senator Tolentino.
Senator Tolentino is asked to be recognized. Senator Tolentino.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a quick manifestation, cum intervention again, and to remind this committee that I made a continuing manifestation a while ago relative to the existence of the joint circular emanating from COA and various agencies, and the possible remedial legislative measure that would enable Congress to comply with the reasonable conditions provided for under the Constitution. Mr. President, perhaps the minority leader, with all due respect, should be reminded that budget proposals coming from the House, going to the Senate may propose or concur with amendments. That would be the operative words coming from the Constitution itself. So it's no longer lodged with the Office of the Vice President, but the decision should come from this chamber, Mr. President, just to manifest that constitutional provision. But we agree that there was a nod, a concurrence coming from the head of the office itself. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you for that reminder, Mr. President. Although the Constitution is on my desk, I don't think I need reminding anymore, Mr. President. But at any rate, that's the purpose of the budget hearings, di ba? That's the purpose that we make them appear to get their opinion. Because if we flood them with funds, sabihin na hindi na namin kaya din yan. I mean, we should get their reaction or their inputs, Mr. President. So, I think that settles it, Mr. President. That's a statement of the Vice President. Tama?
That is
And she is here, so okay na yun. So, that settles everything, Mr. President.
Yes, hopefully, Your Honor.
So, again, just as kinommend ko yung ibang ahensya ng gobyerno, with that manifestation, I commend the Vice President and the Office of the Vice President. Although last year, because of siyempre the budget was the highest ever for an Office of a Vice President. And then I looked at the programs. Sabi ko nga, parang duplication of some programs of the other agencies of the government. So, the Office of the Vice President would have to put up the structures, the necessary to implement the programs. Kunyari, medical assistance, parang parang DSW din eh. Educational assistance, parang DSW din, may program din yan. So, siguro, my question now is, kumusta po yung inyong budget utilization for all of those programs na nabanggit natin last year? Like Libreng Sakay, I think you have a Kalusugan food truck, you have a Pagbabago campaign, 1 million learners and trees, you have a RISE program, Relief for Individuals in Crisis and Emergencies yun, and then you have a Medical and Burial Assistance program, you have a Magnegosyo Taday, that's your livelihood assistance program, and ito parang bago, you can be VP. I don't think I heard this last year, but I may be wrong. But, kumusta po yun? Because yun yung worry ko eh. We have hundreds of millions for each program, and then they look similar to existing government programs of other agencies. Ang problema, we have to now set up the structure to execute and implement the said programs.
The obligation rate of the Office of the Vice President, Your Honor, is 73% as of September 30.
Obligation is 73%. Okay, that's obligation. That means the funds are now, anong tawag mo doon? Obligated. So ano na siya dyan? Earmark na siya for a certain expenditure.
Yes, and the disbursement rate
yes.
is 84%, Your Honor.
80, of ano po to? Compared to appropriations?
Over amounts obligated, Your Honor.
84% of the amounts obligated. And then the 70 plus of the obligation rate is over
Obligations over allotments, Your Honor.
allotments. And then the how much of the appropriations have been allotted or released, di ba? Ganun yun? That's the term. Allotted means released?
Fully released, Your Honor.
Fully released. Okay, sorry. Okay po. And then, itong ano kasi, the Office of the Vice President has been a I think, has in its plans the construction of the physical office of the Vice President. And is it correct that there is an entry in the unprogrammed funds of 2 billion in connection with what is this, the construction of the OVP? Is that the building or the acquisition of the land, Mr. President?
It's for the land, Your Honor, but I think they're still under negotiations. There's still talks ongoing as to, so there's nothing final or nothing contracted out as of yet, Your Honor.
Yes, but it is correct to say that in the 2024 budget, there is a 2 billion entry or item in under unprogrammed appropriations. Tama
That is
po ba
correct,
yan?
Your Honor.
Or it's for land acquisition of the office
Land
of the-
acquisition, Your Honor.
So if there have been negotiations, so may kausap na. So where is the intended location of the office of the Vice President? May we know, Mr. President?
You're talking to a few, Your Honor.
So
Not just one. Not just one.
So it's still open. So in different areas of the country ito. So we cannot even say if it's in Luzon, Visayas, or Mindanao.
Just in NCR, Your Honor.
It's in NCR. Okay, thank you. Thank you for that, Mr. President. But I think for this year, we appropriated 10 million for down payment. So we have not used this kasi kung wala pa.
That's correct, Your Honor. Still unutilized.
Opo. And then the Office of the Vice President has its own security and protection group, Mr. President. Am I correct?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes.
And I think they have 433 personnel composing this Vice President Security and Protection Group.
Yes, Your Honor. As of, yeah.
The expenses for this VP Security and Protection Group are not lodged with the Office of the Vice President. It's lodged with some other agency. Am I correct, Mr. President?
There is a special duty allowance which is for the security personnel, which is charged to the OVP budget, Your Honor.
Which item under, maybe you know under what item, and then what is the total amount for that item, or is it charged against a program?
Yes, we're just finding out which program, Your Honor. It's charged to the OVP budget. Yeah, there is a, this is the, there's an item for special duty allowance in the amount of 25,308,000, Your Honor.
For 1 year na po yan.
That's for
Opo.
2024. Yeah.
Yes, for 1 year, 25 million. Kasi yung bulk ng compensation ng mga security personnel would be found in their mother units siguro. So may we know, so that when the time comes, may we know from what agencies the VP security group come from?
PNP and AFP, Your Honor.
PNP and AFP. So we'll just ask from them siguro yung budget for the 433 regular personnel composing the VP SPG. Okay, so I think, Mr. President, yun na lang po. It's good that the OVP can still efficiently execute their programs, their planned programs, Mr. President. So pero yung pagbabago yata, the plan is a million bags. You want to distribute 1 million bags. That's the long-term plan. What is this for the entire 6-year term? Is that the plan?
Yes, Your Honor.
1 million bags. Okay, so at any rate, Mr. President, of course, I also realize we need to give the Office of the Vice President some flexibility in the budget process and some flexibility in thinking of or coming up with programs or PAPs which will make the office more relevant and somehow directly and or indirectly help the constituents of the OVP. So thank you for the patience of our OVP family, and thank you to our sponsor for his forthright